Hello and welcome to Just a Moment. My name is Kristen Harding. Welcome to the show. Well, I hope everyone is surviving this Mercury retrograde and the moon going into Cancer. All the feels, hey, all the feels. So today, when I did my blessing cards, three of them came up. So it's going to take a minute to get through them, but welcome everybody. And if you're watching on the replay, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I saw some stats earlier that I'm not sure if they were real, but we're doing pretty good. So thank you to everyone who joins us and makes our show just all that stronger. So I'm going to pop over to the comments and see if anyone has joined us yet. I don't see anyone, but that's okay. So we'll just get started. I should mention that this is a lovely little set of cards that I purchased about 7 years ago, 6 years ago now. Um, and they are blessing cards by a lady named Lucy Cavendish, and they are entitled Blessed Be. And the artwork is just gorgeous. It's mostly in my favorite colors of blue and purple and green. So, how can you go wrong, right? So, let's start with the first one that came up. All right, so the first one that came up today is a blessing of protection. I'll show you the card. So, it says, a blessing to shield and safeguard you against the harsh circumstances, people, and weather. May the blessing of an ancient sword be yours, held high and shining, subduing all who may, through intent or simple destructive force, do you harm. May a great shield be held above you, so that when arrows rain down on you, they may glance off, leaving you untouched, unharmed, but with the great, glad, fierce joy of life given again to you. May the protection of the land beneath you be yours, so that your feet are firm on the good earth, and all good food rises and finds its way to your table again and again. May your home, your creatures, your children, and all who dwell within your walls be sheltered and encircled with a ring of bright flame by the goddess, and let nothing that could harm you pass. Oops, hang on. Let nothing that could harm you pass. And if you leave your home, let the path you walk be starred with blessings, so that each touch of the earth upon your feet is gentle and safe and certain. May the rowan tree grow strong above you, and beneath her branches may there be protection. And with those gentle leaves come the blessings of kindness, tolerance, acceptance, and the embrace of nature and her medicine within you. May the cloak of the goddess be about you, keeping you warm and safe, shielded and sheltered, hidden from those who would do you harm, comforted and encouraged to keep going. For beneath her shield, with her sword held high, within that circle of blue flame, and with her blessing upon your path, you are protected and blessed. And from this, you must know how precious and beloved you are to her. Blessed be. So that's the first one. Hello, Paul. Thank you for joining me. And the second one is a blessing of forgiveness. Forgiveness is truly powerful. It takes the power away from the sting of the memory when you forgive. It really does. So I love the owl. A blessing of forgiveness. A blessing to be able to be free of the burden of grudges and vengeance. A prayer to help you open up to the blessing that is forgiveness. Forgiveness is a tricky beast, and yes, for all it is a gentle word, it is a great beast, forgiveness. For when we seek to forgive, we must wrestle with the wrongdoing that lies at the heart of our resistance to let go of the pain that we are holding on to. When we need to forgive, it is often that we are too raw, too far away from justice to be able to even touch the sides of the balm of forgiveness. Yet staying angry for long periods of time can develop into compacted bitterness, and bitterness is a gall to all who wish to live freely. It's a struggle to forgive when we are in the midst of fallout of another person's actions. There is a great deal of victim blaming within our cultures, but in older times in the Celtic world, there was restorative justice, and it would have gone a long way to forgiveness. In the Old Testament worldview, which has influenced our legal systems and our cultural ways of addressing wrongs, punitive justice is the main form, and forgiveness comes about usually after a wrong is righted. But what can we do when the wrong is still very much alive? And to forgive another seems to be diminishing their harm and their potential to harm others. Justice and forgiveness must work hand in hand, and in this blessing, they will now begin to entwine, so that while you begin to forgive your first self, forgive first yourself for whatever wrong was done to you, there is often an element of self-blame. There was once another way to restore what was taken through right action, and thus the path to forgiveness was free from vengeance. In numerous New Age philosophies, responsibility is apportioned to the individual who is suffering time and time again. How did you attract this? It's asked, and this is wrong and damaging, and in some cases cruel and unethical. First, that whatever wrong was done to you, it's not your fault. And begin the work of forgiving yourself. May the blessing of this self-forgiveness be bestowed upon you now, dear friend. Know you will gently untangle the doubt and recriminations that have settled like thorns about your heart and invaded your mind's peace. And as you begin to forgive yourself, you will also begin to find forgiveness for the injustices you have endured. For in that forgiveness and acceptance and ability to know clearly that wrongdoing was done, you will begin to return to yourself. You will be wiser, yet unpoisoned. Slowly may the pain and the bitter buds wither, and in their place may you be reborn, honestly, able to remember, wiser in order to prevent this event taking place again, and able to recall without pain. And the justice that the universe will deliver to you will be restorative, bringing back to you threefold what was taken by another. May you be free of pain at last. Let the anger burn down into coals from which you phoenix-like can rise, and know that you have forgiven the other for their dark gift, forgiven life, and, most of all, delivered the pure medicine of forgiveness to yourself. Blessed be. Wow, these are deep today, aren't they? All right, and one last one. A blessing to bring clarity. And in this guidebook, this is number 35. I'm just going to page over there because it decided it wanted to fall out of the book. So, a blessing to bring clarity. A blessing to disperse the muddied waters of the mind and of the heart, allowing the purity of what can be seen clearly to guide you. We move throughout our lives often not knowing quite what to do, without guidelines or any real compass about where we are going. There are mysteries that are good and fine to experience, and others which seem merely to be obtuse and confusing. And with this blessing, you will begin now to know the difference. We have collections of ideas given to us by parents or friends or schools and governments, and we see the world through their filters. This blessing brings to you a clarity from within, for, for you to know the true north of your own soul and the to follow the soul's purpose, even when the path before you is unclear, dark, and overgrown. This is not to find yourself, but to know your own soul deep within. And with this blessing comes a surety and a sense of lucidity. For when you are clear on who you are and what you care for and what you believe in, you will then be clear on what to do and where to go and how to behave. May the clarity you seek now come to you as you remember to return to the clarity that lies deep within you. May there be a shedding of ideas and beliefs that do not belong to you, for you are far more than a collection of beliefs held by others and taught to you, more than your conditioning. You are a clear soul that has a transparency to your own self. So you know what it is to seek in this world, because you understand who you are deep within. And from that place you live. In this way, the clarity comes, the mists lift, the veils part, and the path is lit up, and you shine that inner light, making the path ahead bright. You are more than a series of plans and expectations. You are a soul, finding your way to the knowledge of your own self. And when you begin to find out who you are, within the clarity you seek will come again and again, to cut through the tangled thoughts, to clear the path of debris, and to move aside those who do not wish for you the best, to discover for yourself what is best and right for you to do in this moment. And thus, with clarity, dear friend, thou wilt be blessed again and again. Blessed be. Hello, Benny. Oh, my goodness. Shall we get back to the book? I'm so excited. I did mark my page, so I'm not going to start at the wrong spot again. But that's okay, because sometimes we just need to review a little bit, don't we? So she says, the signs are everywhere. And we are on chapter 13 already. My goodness. And it says, the signs are everywhere. And it's got this little, like, 1111. Isn't that fun? All right. Now, I just want you to know I am holding my phone in this hand, holding the book in this hand, and trying to read like this. So if it gets wobbly or whatever, or you can't hear me, please let me know and I'll fix it. But I do get really into these books, so sometimes I'm not thinking about the camera angles. Oh well. So let us begin. The signs are everywhere. Hey, Starseed, have you been seeing the signs? I would be absolutely shocked if you answered no to that question. I'm sure that while reading this book, you have received a number of signs validating your alignment. Society has taught you that you aren't good enough and that you have to put the work in to get anywhere in life. And that is not the case. You are programmed to think that belief rests in the ability to experience. If I told you aliens exist, you would say, but where's the proof? When you get stuck in the cycle of needing external validation, you hold yourself back from creating anything beyond your current perception. Therefore, you only recreate what your mind already knows, and this can be very limiting. Moving beyond that, if you sit in the energy of anything is possible, you begin to experience that vibration. Your belief and focus, even when unfocused, can create huge waves in your reality. It's time to reimagine the power that you have without waiting for validation from the universe. When entering, oh, that was a quote by EA, by the way. So, when entering into this new vibration, you will begin seeing signs from the universe. The universe is always talking to you. Even before you picked up this book, signs and vibrations and feelings were pointing you in this direction for a reason. Do you know how I know? Because a shadow of a doubt. This is true. It is because you are a reflection of the universe. As you project thoughts, feelings, actions, and intentions, consciously or not, you are sending ripple frequencies out into the intelligently conscious ether. And guess what? Those ripples come back tenfold. So, if the universe is always communicating with you, how come you don't always see or hear it? Here is a breakdown of the issues that you might encounter when communicating with the universe. You don't believe that you are powerful enough to manifest. Most people, especially during the beginning phases of their awakening, assume that they are not powerful enough to manifest what they want. The main reason people jump to this conclusion is that they feel like they aren't being heard. Asking for something, then nothing happens, will instantly make a person feel as though no one cares and no one is listening. Of course, this feeds into the paradigm of victim and disempowerment. The thing is, it's impossible to not be heard, since the universe is a vibration, and it mirrors the vibration that you emit. It's not one individual, man, God, being, who needs to stand before you and listen to your wants and needs. In the past, society has taught that the forces which control your life were separate from you. Our disempowerment has been indoctrinated into us since religion was created. The more we get stuck in the loop of no one cares, the more you reverberate the vibration of no one cares. And therefore, your reality will start showing you just that. It's a vicious cycle that many can't break because they refuse to step into their power. The second that you understand how our disempowerment has been learned is the second that you can begin to unlearn it. Remember that ripple effect that I mentioned earlier? If you ask for something or intend something in a low vibration through attachment, greed, validation, victimhood, etc., you will only ever attract the lesson which confronts the low vibration you are projecting. Instead of manifesting the thing that you want, the thing will be taken further away, giving you the space to learn the lesson. I hope that makes sense, since it can be a convoluted concept. Remember, you are always heard. You are simply just not listening. We can get so caught up in our daily autopilot that we aren't even paying attention to all the beautiful little moments where our thoughts get rippled back to us. When we first start awakening, some of the most common synchronicities are the most obvious ones. Triple and double numerical digits, especially, are prominent. The funny thing is, these are the most noticeable because they have nothing to do directly with our thoughts at all. It just shocks us into momentary awareness, given how direct and sudden those numbers can appear. When you get deeper into your awakening, you become more aware of your thoughts. As you become more aware of your thoughts, you become more aware of how frequently those thoughts come back to you through the manifestation of things in your physical world. This is where the practice of mindfulness, meditation, journaling, and really just setting aside the time to listen comes in handy. How are you ever going to experience the power of creating your reality when you aren't even paying attention to what you're asking for? Think about how we talk to ourselves sometimes. Is it negative or positive? Everything that we create just by thought. Oh, I got 2 pages here. Hang on. Paying attention to what it is that you're asking for. And now it's quite warm here. We're having a bit of a heat wave, so I believe the pages are sticking together. I got it now. All right. It's not that the universe isn't listening to you. It's you who is not listening to yourself. Hi, Tammy. Oh my goodness. Let me just address some of these comments. Sweetheart. And Paul says hello, and Benny says hello, Angel. Thank you for that. Clear the distractions with discernment. Oh, yes, yes, yes. And Tammy says, maybe the aliens do exist, but they're not actually aliens, they're demons. Maybe it's a play on words and definition. Well, yeah. I've always thought that there's good and bad, and you can call a spirit a demon if it's negatively oriented, but you can also call the spirit an angel if it's positively oriented. It just kind of depends on where they sit on the vibrational scale. What else do you say? Whatever you speak into the ether will come back to you in reality. Oh, yes, this is absolutely true, which is why I just know that I am going to be always financially cared for. Not, not super wealthy, not super poor, somewhere in between where there's abundance, enough to share if that is necessary and people come into your life that you can share with, do it. Because when you give like that, it's amazing how it comes back to you in ways that you never expect. All right, where was I? It's not the universe. It's not that the universe isn't listening to you, it's you who's not listening to yourself. You do not know who's giving you these signs. The biggest misconception people believe is that they're angels, their passed away loved ones, or spirit guides who are always giving them these signs. Although they do help us along and love giving us signs, it's not always them. I believe that each of us has the vibration of source consciousness within us. I like to call that Christos consciousness. This is how we exist. This is our life force energy. So when we think about seeing signs in our life, we need to be aware the only one creating these signs is us. Spirit guides, angels, and energies of loved ones do exist. We call these beautiful beings into our lives purposefully. When understanding the law of non-intervention, which I mentioned in the Family Thinks You're Crazy chapter, we also need to apply this understanding to the guides and beings in our life. They would not assist, interfere, or even be in our life in the first place if we didn't first call upon them in some capacity. Believing there is a man in the sky who not only created you, but will smite you if you do something against his will is one thing. But likewise, believing spirit guides are the supreme leaders and decision makers of your life is just getting involved in the same limiting belief pattern. Unfortunately, many of us, including myself, are coming from a generation where our parents and their parents were rooted in these traditional beliefs. And when we begin to awaken, we transfer many of our old, limiting beliefs into new ones without fully understanding the separation and difference between the two. It's important to check in with yourself constantly to ensure that you aren't simply giving your power away to an idea outside of yourself. Whether it is a being in another dimension, a loved one on the other side, or just simply an aspect of your higher self, it is and always has been you sending these signs. Next time you see 1111 or any variation of that of a sign, don't thank anyone but yourself. Just having the awareness of the sign itself is a huge accomplishment, and it means you have been practicing quieting your mind and listening. Way to go. You don't know what you're looking for. There are so many signs. Like I stated above, the most common signs are the most obvious ones. Beyond this, everything in life is a sign. Every aspect of your life is a ripple effect from an energy you've projected. When you begin to look at life this way, you start to recognize that signs are literally everywhere. Some people in my life will roll their eyes at me for believing that every aspect of life is a sign. For example, when my wife stubs her toe or accidentally uh, drops a glass and breaks it, I will give her this look, which telepathically communicates, "Now, what do you think that means? Why did you create that situation?" Usually the retort from her is, "Why can't I just stub my toe without a message, a lesson, or a sign?" I can relate. The fastest way to grow and learn is to ask the deeper questions about why you are attracting certain things. If we don't ask why, we will never know what the sign or message is. Simultaneously, it's good to just surrender to that moment and accept the beauty of not knowing. Here's an example of common signs we get in life. Numerology. Seeing 1111 on the clock, 123 on a license plate, a phone number ending with 555, etc. Nature. A hawk flies above your head. You find the rainbow through the storm. A black cat crosses your path, and so on. Dreams. Just try not to take them too literally. Synchronicities are coincidences. Being at the right place at the right time, thinking about your mom and she calls 5 minutes later, etc. Why do we see these signs? I think we can all agree that we can receive a wide variety of random and beautiful signs throughout our day, week, month, and year. But why do we receive these signs? Most of the time we are so distracted there is barely even an acknowledgement of the sign. We usually receive the signs to give us validation of the path that we're on. We can all look at the time of 11:11 and feel divinely aligned to that moment, despite having an extremely positive or an extremely negative day. However, it isn't until you take a deeper look where you start to connect with deeper insights. If you go about life not fully aware of your existence, then you never fully get to understand yourself as the creator. Signs and divine messages appear in our lives to remind us we are the ones who create the reality we see around us. At a deeper level, all signs point to a new understanding of your reality. It's up to you at an individual level to determine the deeper meaning behind them. All you have to do is ask. Be aware. Sometimes, when we first see signs, we can become a little obsessed. Signs give us validation that there is more out there, and that feels good. However, sometimes letting the signs consume you could do more harm than good. It could easily be a distractor rather than an assistant. Trying to see the signs in everything is like always needing to know all of the information. I've been there, and it can be exhausting. Make sure you are always using your internal navigation systems first, and let the signs in the external world validate what you already know. Becoming a sensitive empath. Many aspects of your life will change throughout your awakening process. One of the more pronounced changes will be your sensitivities to the outside world. Most of you, even before your big awakening, knew you were more sensitive energetically to the outside world. Some of you may have even been called the empath. Before we get too deep into this concept, let's first define that word. EA's definition of an empath: becoming energetically sensitive to and affected by your surrounding environment. Although being an empath is more about energetic sensitivities, these sensitivities can and do have profound impacts on your physical life. Remember, we are energetic beings first and physical beings second. Ultimately, we are all empaths. However, most of us simply don't harness this inner gift. Your ability to develop it is determined by your state of attachment and therefore distraction in your physical reality. The more you are distracted by the physical, the less aware you are of the non-physical. Likewise, the more disconnected you are from the physical, the more sensitive and over-aware you become of energy. People are usually at both ends of the extreme in society. We need to practice being somewhere right in the middle if we want to live a 3D, oh, excuse me, a 5D, balanced and harmonious life. Of course, it only makes sense that as we awaken and begin to understand our souls, and not just our bodies, we begin to become much more sensitive to the energies around us. Do you sense the theme of the entirety of our existence? Let me give you a hint. Balance. Balance. There it is. I just need to turn the page. Here we are. Stepping into the vibration of being an empath is natural, but it can simultaneously be overwhelming. I mean, think about it. Before your awakening, you only had to deal with the physical world. You were focusing your concerns on what you were going to make for dinner, if you were going to land that new proposal or not, and if you were going to get married and have kids. Making the most of those decisions themselves would be difficult for the average individual. Now add all the extra stuff you need to worry about when becoming aware of energy. Some examples. What's the lesson behind breaking that plate this morning? Am I on or off my path? Why do all of a sudden I feel tired after talking to my mom? I can't go into the work. I can't go into work anymore because I feel anxious. Why do I keep getting a reaction every time I drink wine? Becoming aware of energy and the power of consciousness is an incredible thing, but it can overwhelm us. The biggest aspect of becoming more empathic is that if something in our life, whether physical or non physical, is not in alignment with our soul, it will create a dis-ease or anxiety within us. A lot of symptoms we experience within our empathic state can mirror the anxiety symptoms and vice versa. Remember, all anxiety is a switch in vibration. Once we step into that awareness level, we are simply unable to go back and forget what we have learned. We are now aware of the vibrations around us, not just within our minds, but also within our souls. Connecting to that energy around us is a feeling, it's a state of being, rather than a piece of knowledge that you can analyze. I think this is the reason that there are designated waves of people who are contracted to awaken at different times on this planet and freak accidents all at once. Oh, wait, on this planet, this is so that we aren't, there we go, I skipped ahead. So, this is so that we aren't inundating the planet with ego deaths and freak accidents all at once. There we go. We have to have some people who remain unaware and some people who are awakened to hold the space in order to help balance those vastly different frequencies. A few years ago, I was seeing the number 8 on repeat. Every bill I got, every house I passed, every conversation I had, all included the same number. I looked up the meaning. It meant abundance, manifestation, infinity, and so on. That made zero sense to me at the time since I was really struggling with finances and abundance. I was caught in confusion. And like any good psychic, it was so difficult for me to receive information that involved myself. I finally found a quiet space to ask for guidance and assistance. Hey guides, universe, source, can you please let me know what you mean by giving me the number 8? I think it's funny now how I was asking for a sign to clarify the previous sign, but hey, that's sometimes what is needed. About a week later, I serendipitously met a numerologist, and she asked if she could read my numerology. I accepted and received exactly what I asked for. She explained I was currently in a number 8 year. This meant my attachments and expectations around money and finances were changing. Sometime, sometimes within an 8 year, you have to collapse the aspects of the abundance that no longer serve you in order to recreate new connections to finances and abundance. Wow, that was exactly the clarification I needed. By the end of that year, I had completely reformed my perceptions of abundance, naturally getting rid of any lack of energy I had in my system. Sometimes, when we don't understand a sign that has been given to us, we need to ask for more signs to clarify. I will say, however, the universe will not give you infinite signs. Eventually, you will have to surrender and trust what you have already received. And I think that is a wonderful place to end for today. We're going to start back up on the next show. Well, I might have a guest. But if I don't, the next time I'm reading, it'll be on chapter 14. Are you losing your memory? Sometimes those negative memories would be fun to lose, wouldn't they? But remember, everything that we have gone through led us to being who we are today. So take the good with the bad, the happy with the sad. And that is all for now, my very dear friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Never forget that you are amazing. You are loved. Be well. Be safe out there. And I'll see you on the next show. Bye.